Absolutely. Imagine meeting a woman and realizing that within just a few minutes, she feels more understood by you than she has by people she's known for years. Not because you're more handsome, not because you're richer. Absolutely. Not because you used some clever pickup line from the internet. And certainly not because you memorized some manipulation technique. The reason is much simpler. You asked a question that made her stop for a moment and look inward. Absolutely. A question that moved beyond her job, her appearance, her daily routine, and the ordinary details of life. A question that reached the part of her personality that most people never take the time to discover. Absolutely. Machiavelli understood something timeless about human nature. People naturally feel closer to those who make them feel genuinely seen and understood. Every meaningful answer creates a small emotional investment. Absolutely. Every memory she shares becomes connected to the person she is sharing it with. Every emotion experienced during a meaningful conversation can become part of how she remembers that interaction. But there is an important distinction. Absolutely. These questions should never be used as tricks. They are not psychological weapons. They are not a formula for controlling someone's emotions. Absolutely. They are simply conversation tools that can help two people move beyond small talk and discover something real about each other. Because the deepest connections don't come from saying the perfect thing. Absolutely. They come from creating a space where another person feels comfortable being themselves. Today, we're exploring 15 powerful questions. Each question opens a different door. Some reveal identity, some reveal dreams, some reveal values. Absolutely. Some reveal memories, and some reveal the experiences that quietly shape the person standing in front of you. The first question may sound simple, but it can completely change the direction of a conversation. Absolutely. Question 1. What is something most people misunderstand about you? Think about what this question actually asks. You're not asking what she does. You're not asking where she lives. You're not asking what music she likes. Absolutely. You're asking about the difference between perception and reality. For a moment, she has to think about how other people see her compared with who she believes she really is. Maybe people think she's confident when she's actually sensitive. Absolutely. Maybe people think she's quiet because she's shy, when in reality she simply doesn't enjoy meaningless conversations. Maybe people assume she's independent because she doesn't ask for help, while nobody knows how difficult it was for her to become that way. Absolutely. That's why this question can create such an interesting conversation. It tells her that you're curious about the person behind the impression, and when she begins answering, your job is simple. Listen, don't interrupt. Absolutely. Don't immediately turn her answer into a story about yourself. Don't try to prove that you understand everything. Give her room. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply, why do you think people see you that way? One question can lead to another. Absolutely. And suddenly, a conversation that started casually becomes something much more personal. The average person asks questions about circumstances. A more thoughtful person asks questions about identity. And identity is where meaningful conversations begin. Absolutely. What experience changed the way you see life? This question takes the conversation deeper because everyone has experiences that change them. Sometimes it is something beautiful. Sometimes it is something painful. Absolutely. Sometimes it is a failure. Sometimes it is meeting a person who changed their perspective. And sometimes it is simply growing older and realizing that the things they once considered important aren't as important anymore. Absolutely. Imagine she starts telling you about a difficult period in her life. Don't rush to fix it. Don't immediately tell her what she should have done. Listen to what she learned, because the interesting part isn't only what happened. Absolutely. The interesting part is how that experience changed her. Maybe she became stronger. Maybe she became more careful. Maybe she learned to appreciate her family. Maybe she learned that success isn't always about money. Absolutely. Maybe she discovered that she was capable of surviving something she once believed would destroy her. People often believe attraction is about how someone looks or how impressive they appear. Absolutely. But meaningful conversations can create something much more powerful. They allow people to experience emotions around each other. And people often remember how they felt around someone long after they forget the exact words that were spoken. Absolutely. Question 3. What is something you've always wanted to do but never had the courage to try? This question changes direction. Instead of asking about the past, you're asking about the future. Everyone carries an unfinished version of themselves. Absolutely. There are dreams they postponed, places they wanted to visit, skills they wanted to learn, businesses they wanted to start, creative projects they wanted to pursue. Sometimes fear stopped them. Sometimes responsibility stopped them. Absolutely. Sometimes they simply convince themselves that the dream wasn't realistic. When she begins talking about something she has always wanted to do, pay attention to the emotion behind her words. Does her voice become more energetic? Does she smile? Absolutely. Does she suddenly start talking faster? Those reactions tell you something. For a moment, she's reconnecting with a version of herself that may have been buried under everyday responsibilities. And you don't need to give her a speech, simply ask, absolutely. What's stopping you? That question can lead somewhere completely unexpected. Question 4. What do you think people spend too much time worrying about? This question reveals values. And values reveal character. Some people will say money. Absolutely. Others will say social status. Some will say what other people think. Others may say appearance, relationships, career, or the future. But the most interesting part isn't simply her answer. It's the reasoning behind it. Ask, why do you think that? Absolutely. Now you're learning how she sees the world. You're discovering what she considers important and what she considers unnecessary. Two people can give completely different answers to the same question. Absolutely. And that's exactly what makes the conversation interesting. You aren't searching for the correct answer. You're discovering her perspective. And when someone realizes you're genuinely interested in their perspective, the conversation becomes more natural. Absolutely. The question 5, if you could relive one day from your life, which day would you choose? This question bypasses ordinary logic. Nobody chooses a day because it was productive. Nobody chooses a day because they answered a lot of emails. Absolutely. People choose moments because those moments meant something. Maybe it was a childhood memory. Maybe it was a family celebration. Maybe it was the day they achieved something they had worked toward for years. Absolutely. Maybe it was a simple day that became special because of the people who were there. Once she answers, don't immediately move to the next question. Stay with the memory. Ask, what made that day so special? Absolutely. Now you're allowing her to relive the emotion attached to it. And that's what makes meaningful conversation different from an interview. You're not simply collecting information. You're allowing someone to revisit a part of their own story. Absolutely. Question 6. What is something you wish more people knew about you? Most people carry invisible chapters, parts of their personality that rarely appear in normal conversations. Society teaches us how to introduce ourselves. We say our name. Absolutely. We talk about our work, we mention where we live, we talk about our hobbies, but those things don't necessarily explain who we are. A person can have a successful career and still feel misunderstood. Absolutely. Someone can appear confident while privately struggling with insecurity. Someone can look completely independent while carrying experiences that force them to become that way. This question gives someone permission to explain themselves. And sometimes, absolutely, the answer can surprise you. Maybe she tells you about something she overcame. Maybe she talks about a sacrifice nobody noticed. Maybe she tells you about a side of herself that people rarely see. The key is not to judge. Absolutely. Don't compare her experience to yours. Don't minimize it. Question 7. What is a lesson you learned the hard way? Pain teaches lessons that comfort sometimes cannot. Everyone has experienced disappointment. Absolutely. Everyone has made mistakes. Everyone has trusted the wrong person at some point. Everyone has had expectations that didn't match reality. But those experiences often create wisdom. When someone tells you a lesson they learned the hard way, absolutely. They're not simply telling you what happened. They're telling you how that experience changed them. Maybe they learned not to trust too quickly. Maybe they learned to set boundaries. Maybe they learned that success requires patience. Absolutely. Maybe they learned that some people aren't meant to remain in your life forever. This is where conversation becomes more meaningful. Because information tells you what happened. Transformation tells you who someone became because of what happened. Absolutely. And that is much more interesting. The question 8, if you knew you could not fail, what would you do? This question temporarily removes fear. Imagine there was no rejection, no embarrassment, no financial risk, no judgment. Absolutely. No possibility of failure. What would she choose? Suddenly, possibilities appear. Maybe she wants to travel around the world. Maybe she wants to build a company. Maybe she wants to become an artist. Maybe she wants to write a book. Absolutely. Maybe she wants to help people. Maybe she wants to completely change her career. Fear quietly controls many decisions. People don't always choose what they want. Sometimes they choose what feels safe. Absolutely. That's why this question can reveal the difference between someone's current life and their ideal life. And if her eyes light up while talking about the answer, notice it. That enthusiasm tells you something about what matters to her. Absolutely. What is something you're proud of that nobody knows about? This might be one of the most revealing questions of all because public achievements are easy to recognize: degrees, promotions, awards, business success. Absolutely. Social media accomplishments. But some of the greatest victories happen privately: getting through a difficult year, leaving an unhealthy environment, learning to forgive, recovering from heartbreak, supporting a family member. Absolutely. Overcoming something nobody else even knew she was fighting. These victories don't appear on resumes, but they can define someone's character. When she shares one of these private victories, don't turn it into a competition. Don't respond with, "Absolutely. That's nothing. I've been through worse." Instead, recognize what it meant to her. Sometimes people don't need applause. They simply want someone to understand how difficult the journey was. Absolutely. 10. What kind of people do you trust immediately? Trust is one of the foundations of every relationship. But most people rarely stop to think about why they trust certain individuals. Some people trust honesty, others value consistency. Absolutely. Some trust kindness, others trust confidence, competence, or loyalty. Her answer can tell you a lot about what she values in people. It can also reveal what she notices first when deciding whether someone is safe to be around. Absolutely. And there is another interesting layer. People sometimes appreciate qualities in others that they have struggled to find in their own relationships. So instead of only listening to the answer, ask, what makes that quality so important to you? Absolutely. That question can reveal the story behind the preference. Question 11. What is one thing you believe that most people disagree with? Now the conversation moves into independent thinking. Everyone has opinions they don't always express. Absolutely. Not necessarily controversial opinions, sometimes they're simply unusual perspectives. Maybe she thinks society cares too much about status. Maybe she believes people work too much. Maybe she thinks happiness has nothing to do with money. Absolutely. Maybe she believes relationships shouldn't follow traditional expectations. Whatever the answer is, don't immediately debate it. Ask her to explain, because disagreement doesn't have to destroy connection. Absolutely. Two people can see something differently and still respect each other's perspective. In fact, sometimes being able to express an unpopular thought without being attacked creates a stronger sense of comfort. Absolutely. People feel connected to those who allow them to be authentic, not the edited version, not the socially approved version, the real version. Question 12. What has been the happiest moment of your life? Absolutely. This question brings positive emotion into the conversation, and happiness reveals priorities. One person may describe a family moment. Another may remember achieving a lifelong goal. Someone else may talk about traveling somewhere unforgettable. Absolutely. Another person may remember falling in love. There is no right answer. What matters is what made that moment meaningful. Ask, what made you so happy that day? Now you're learning what fulfillment looks like to her. Absolutely. And something interesting happens when people tell stories about their happiest memories. They don't just describe the event, they often reconnect with the emotion. Joy, gratitude, excitement, love, pride. The conversation becomes more than words. Absolutely. It becomes an emotional experience. Question 13.
What is something you wish you could tell your younger self?
Few questions create reflection as quickly as this one. The mind immediately travels backward. Mistakes appear, lessons emerge. Absolutely. Growth becomes visible. Maybe she would tell her younger self, don't worry so much. Trust yourself. Don't chase people who don't value you. Take more chances. Spend more time with your family. Stop comparing yourself to everyone else. Absolutely. Whatever she chooses, the answer reveals the distance between who she was and who she has become. And that distance contains wisdom. It contains mistakes. It contains resilience. When someone shares that journey, absolutely, they're giving you a small window into their identity. Question 14. What do you want your life to mean when it's all over? This is where the conversation reaches a completely different level. Absolutely. Most people spend their days thinking about immediate problems: money, work responsibilities, deadlines, bills, plans for next week. Very few people stop and ask themselves what their entire life is supposed to mean. Absolutely. Some people want to leave a legacy. Some want to build a loving family. Some want to inspire others. Some want to create something that outlives them. Some simply want to experience life fully and make the people around them happier. Whatever the answer, absolutely. It reveals a deeper direction. It shows what she ultimately values. And when you understand someone's sense of purpose, you understand more than their hobbies or preferences. You begin to understand the invisible principles guiding their decisions. Absolutely. Question 15. What is something you've never told anyone but wish someone would ask about? This question is different from all the others because you're not demanding vulnerability. You're giving her control. You're saying, absolutely. There may be something inside you that you want to talk about. If you want to, I'm willing to listen. The answer could be funny. It could be emotional. It could be a dream. It could be a memory. It could be something she has carried quietly for years. Absolutely. Or she may simply say, I don't know. And that's okay. There should never be pressure. Because genuine connection requires freedom. If someone chooses to open up, listen carefully. Don't interrupt. Don't judge. Absolutely. Don't immediately turn the conversation into advice. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give another person is your full attention. And that brings us to the real lesson behind all 15 questions. A woman may forget your jokes. Absolutely. She may forget your exact words. She may forget what you were wearing. She may even forget how the conversation started. But people often remember how they felt around you. Did they feel judged or accepted? Did they feel ignored or listened to? Absolutely. Did they feel like they had to perform, or could they simply be themselves? That is where meaningful connection begins, not with manipulation, not with tricks, not with trying to manufacture attraction, but with curiosity, respect, patience, absolutely, and genuine listening. The questions are only the beginning. The real skill is what you do after she answers. If she tells you something meaningful, don't immediately jump to the next question. Stay there, explore it naturally. Ask why. Absolutely. Ask what she learned. Ask how it changed her. And sometimes simply say, I understand. Then let the silence exist. You don't have to fill every second with words. Absolutely. Some of the deepest conversations happen in the moments when two people are comfortable enough not to rush. Because the person who learns to listen deeply gains something much more valuable than attention. They gain trust. Absolutely. And trust is where meaningful relationships begin. So the next time you're talking to someone you're genuinely interested in, forget the pressure to impress them. Don't focus on finding the perfect line. Instead, become curious, ask something meaningful. Absolutely. Then listen to the answer. Because people don't always want someone who talks the most. Sometimes they want someone who notices the things everyone else overlooks. Someone who gives them space to explain who they really are. Absolutely. Someone who remembers the small details. Someone who makes them feel that their story matters. And perhaps that is the most powerful form of communication there is. Not making someone think about you. Absolutely. But making them feel comfortable enough to be themselves around you. If this opened your eyes to a different way of understanding human connection, remember, the deepest forms of influence are rarely loud. They don't demand attention. Absolutely. They don't force emotion, they create trust quietly, and when trust is genuine, the connection becomes unforgettable. Detour for more insights into Machiavelli, psychology, influence, relationships, and the hidden dynamics of human nature. Absolutely. Because sometimes the most powerful question isn't the one you ask. It's whether you were truly listening to the answer.